Let's start with that Dominic LeBlanc story because I find this kind of palace intrigue very, very interesting. Your thoughts?
LeBlanc has been an incredible Trudeau loyalist all along. I sometimes joke that he's Trudeau's Rudy Giuliani when they're in a real spot and something absolutely absurd has to be given as an excuse or an explanation. Nah, give it to Dominic. He'll say anything. But he's a smart guy. He went to a top U.S. university and he has toyed with the idea of becoming party leader before. In the setup to the story we just did on the Lawrence Martin article in today's Globe and Mail, it's important to realize who Lawrence Martin is. This is not some run-of-the-mill columnist. It's not a cub reporter. This is one of the most experienced, seasoned, credible voices on Parliament Hill. And for him to take pen to paper and to put that out, it's because he's got really solid information. I found it fascinating that Dominic LeBlanc arrived, gave lines. So, I mean, what we do in politics is sometimes you get briefed by a staffer, say this. You don't always have time. He came, went before the microphone, showed just what a seasoned pro he is, and just rattled off, I love my job, I love my prime minister, and I love running in the next election, thank you. And then somebody said, but have you been having talks? And he said, I've already answered that, but of course he hadn't. And he didn't want to answer it because he didn't want to lie to the cameras. And Lawrence Martin wouldn't have put that out unless he actually knew what he was talking about. So yes, it's quite obvious that Dominic LeBlanc has the wherewithal, the experience, and the ability to pretend, to claim the right to run in that race, eventually to replace Trudeau. Now, who are the other main players who would look at it? Well, the five parties in the House of Commons, Todd, it's worth remembering that only the Liberals have never had a woman leader. And if I had to bet a quarter on this, I would say Trudeau would never do everything he can to help Chrystia Freeland, who has been incredibly loyal, who has taken any number of bullets for him over the years, and is now doing the same thing on this really weak budget that they've got. So she'd be a real player. I think that the ideal person for them would be Mark Carney, because he wouldn't wear all of the Trudeau years. He's serious. He's engaging. I had a chance to invite him a couple of times to the University of Montreal, where I've been teaching since I left politics, and boy, do the students like him and the staff. I mean, he's kept his French, which surprised me, frankly. And he was raised in the Northwest Territories. He didn't come into this world with a silver spoon in his mouth. So he'd be a very interesting candidate. But I think that it's obviously up to Trudeau. If this is all about how well they're going to do after the budget, well, let's wait for the next few days for the polls to start rolling out. But I'm not very optimistic for them that this budget is going to turn anything around.
Gosh, I've got so many questions for you now after you said all that. So let me start with, do you think Justin Trudeau, yes or no, is going to stick around for the next election?
No, I don't, because he's got a whole future career ahead of him. And he will be in demand to be on the boards of directors of some of the biggest companies in the world. He will get major appointments. He'll make a lot of money. And why would he stick around to get the tar beaten out of him by Pierre Poilievre if he remains 20 points behind in the polls? So I honestly don't think. I think he's giving himself until the end of this session. He's got the summer to really think about it. He's hit every button on the dashboard, and he still hasn't been able to calm down the red flashing lights.